This is All the Right Marketing, a publishing podcast by Cardinal Rule Press. Now, here's your host, Maria Dismondy.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to All the Right Marketing, where we talk with business owners and industry leaders about marketing their programs and products. But those programs and products that we're talking about are mainly books. And we are all about books here at All the Right Marketing, and we want to know how authors and publishers and booksellers and librarians, we want to know how do they get books into the hands of the people reading them. So today's guest, Jamilah Thompkins Bigelow, is a Philadelphia-based children's book author. Her picture books and short fiction, which center around Black and Muslim kids, have been recognized by many, including Time and NPR. Can't wait to hear about that. And she is an Irma Black Award silver medalist. Congratulations. A former teacher and forever educator at heart, she is probably most proud that her picture book, Your Name is a Song, was named the December 2021 NEA Read Across America book, and it is now included in the standardized curriculums of major U.S. school districts. I mean, winning right there. To have your book in curriculum, that is wonderful. She is now venturing into the world of middle grade with her upcoming co-authored middle grade novel, Grounded, which comes out May of 2023. Welcome, Jamilah. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I always have when guests come on, I have them put an icebreaker just in case I need help, like to get the conversation going. I do not need help. Your biography is everything I needed to get this conversation going. You are doing so many wonderful things in the world of literacy for children that we don't even have to talk about the fact that you hate potatoes.
Yeah, that was so weird. I was like, when did I send that? But I think it was like something weird. It was interesting about yourself. I was like, yeah, I hate potatoes. And other people think that that's strange. But I mean, I do like potatoes. They're fried to a crisp. And there's lots of salt put on them. Okay. And they're put in bags, but that's about it.
Okay. See, and I don't even need that because you are very interesting in itself. So let's talk about the fact you were a teacher. What did you teach?
I did English. So I was a high school English teacher for about half of those 10 years that I was teaching in. I was a middle school English teacher for about half of those years. And I always taught in small schools, which meant I always ended up teaching multiple grades. So in that time, I actually ended up teaching all grades from 7 to 12 at some point in some way, whether it was an elective but everybody got me.
Oh, that's awesome. That is wonderful. And so what took you from the jump from teacher to writer? Or no, I don't even want to say writer, teacher to published author.
Yeah. So, I mean, during my teaching time, I started wanting a little bit more creativity personally. I wanted to do more creative writing stuff. And so I started just doing it on the side. And I just felt like teaching was becoming very, very rigid with some of the different guidelines that were coming down from the state. And it was really doing something to me. I kind of had pushed down that sort of creative side of me for a long time, but I love the creativity.
That can make you unhappy, right?
Right. And I love the creativity of the classroom and the lesson planning and things I could do. And it started feeling like that was getting, people were closing in on that more. And so I just needed an outlet. And so I started different kinds of writing. I had my little kids at the time too, so children's book writing was one of those things that I tried, and I found that I actually really loved it and just felt so natural and comfortable for me. And so I just started doing it, and then I would spend my time in the children's book section of the library just studying picture books, because that was really what I was drawn to.
You and actually both of the interviews I've had this morning have said that. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes of writers. And when people say, well, how do I become a writer? I'm like, do your research, do your due diligence, go into a library, spend time studying literature. So I love that you were doing that. So you were doing, you have these little kids. And at some point you were like, I'm going to submit to an agent or to a publishing house. What did you try?
Well, so my story is weird in this way because I actually am the kind of person who will not submit work. Even though I had planned on it and I was going to do it, I was always going to do it, but it was always
like procrastination or what's holding you back?
Just it's not good enough kind of thing. And I was sort of pushed to submit my work by a friend so it's a weird story because I actually kind of fell into publishing because a friend of mine who, she's an editor for a Muslim publication, small online Muslim publication. And she wanted me to do some more writing. I was doing some writing for her publication. And she's like, oh, you have a talent, like you really should write more. And, I remember telling her, I admitted to her, I didn't tell her this before then, but I had told her, I can't commit to this. I don't have time to do this because I'm doing some other writing all the time and studying of writing. And what kind of writing are you doing? Is what she asked me. And it was like, I'm writing children's books. And it was like, huh? Okay, I guess. She didn't get it, right? But she was like, oh, okay, I'll leave it alone. Well, meanwhile, there was an editor from Simon & Schuster who had started an imprint, a Muslim editor, Sarain Jaffrey, started an imprint called Salam Reads. And she was trying to publish Muslim authors, who were writing children's books about Muslim kids. And she could not find Black Muslim authors. And so she sent a call out to all of the Muslim editors that she knew, including this friend. And my friend basically totally sold me out by saying, oh yeah, she's writing these things. And, Jamilah, submit your stuff to her. And that's really how I got my start. It wasn't immediate, obviously.
That is a good friend right there.
Yeah, it was. So the thing is, I had a book deal in hand and did not know how to query. Did not know how to, and it felt, once I was in the industry, I had to figure out, okay, where's my next book coming from?
You're like backtracking, yeah.
Yeah, and it took me 2 years to figure out how to query, how to get an agent and to get my next book deal, because I was I hadn't done any of the work that everybody else did. So it was
what was that first book?
The first book was Mommy's Kimar.
So, it was, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it took me forever to get back on the, but that was the journey, was having no clue and just kind of saying, still, yay.
People are going to go crazy over this podcast interview, by the way. That's definitely an example of being in the right place at the right time, and the power of community, not the right place at the right place time, but I think really the power of community and connection. So after Mommy's Kimar came out, then you started kind of doing the query and agent. So what happened after that? Let's continue on the journey.
I really couldn't get anyone to publish Your Name Is a Song. And I was submitting, and I was submitting to different agents and I wasn't getting a response. And then I started just submitting to publishers that would accept an agent's work, because I really believed in the book.
Yeah.
I was at 12 by 12, and I'd had I had workshopped it there. And, I just believed in it. I was like, you people are out of your mind. More than I had believed in the other book, I have to admit, Your Name Is a Song. And I was like, you people are out of your mind if you don't think that you should represent this book, or I'm going to send it. So it became sort of a submit it to whoever will pick it up kind of thing. I was agents this week, editors this week, agents, and it was a very haphazard, very Jamilah-esque way of submitting and querying, and not very good. But eventually the Innovation Press, a small independent publisher, which has some really great,
I know them,
books, they picked it up. And then an agent also, or actually a couple agents, reached out to me. And so it kind of all collided at the same time. And I ended up having, accepting an offer from, accepting an agent, and having them negotiate this contract with, the Innovation Press. So that was really my path into finally. And after that, it took off. Just book deals came quickly, but that was sort of my
and what year was Your Name Is a Song come out? What year?
It came out in 2020.
Okay. And look at how well it's done. I mean, and in anyone who's in the business, we know that it's not about selling books. We know it's about getting your message out there, and having the book in schools is getting your message out there. I mean, that's just beautiful. And so then now you're writing middle grade.
Yes. I am writing middle grade. And this book that's coming out, so I am writing middle grade independently as well, but this middle grade project that I worked was really the brainchild of Aisha Saeed, and co-authored co-authoring a middle grade novel with Aisha Saeed and S.K. Ali, like, these people who just had like lots of experience, really has been like a crash course in middle grade writing. It's like, wow, like, it's like, this is really, they really taught me a lot in being able to write the book, but also like they kind of, it was very affirming to have that process, because once again, I'm kind of that person who holds off when submitting, doesn't think their stuff is good enough. So I'm like, I can't really write good middle grade. And, having people, say to you, oh, this is great, or I love this, or this was, and you're like, oh, but this is my stuff. And you're somebody who is an award-winning middle grade writer and New York Times bestseller. And you're saying, oh, I love this chapter, or you like really connected, with the character that I'm writing, that has been very empowering for me. It's almost like, although I know this is not possible, almost like new writers need to collab with experienced writers, and being able to like pull their work out.
Such a blessing, right? It's like, yeah. So, we talked a lot about community, which you're, even that co-authoring is community and learning from others. And your first book really was through that community aspect. When I asked the big question on how you market books on this podcast, how do you get visibility around your books? Yours goes back to the theme of today's podcast with you, community. So tell us about when you, Kidlit in Color, how did Kidlit in Color support you on your journey? And then what came out of that as far as the promo groups?
So, my first experience with a promo group was good. It was positive. And it was, a group that was publishing books into 2018, right?
Okay.
And I'm still, friends with some of the people who are in that promo group, and I still follow some of the careers of, it was a lot of us. I forgot how many, but it was
more than a dozen.
Yeah, it was like definitely 20 plus people.
Okay.
That was great. But then after 2018 and kind of like, the first months of 2019, it sort of just like ended, it was kind of like, when we still sometimes there's a still Facebook group, we sometimes, talk, whatever, but really there's nothing more there. And so, it was kind of like Mommy's Kumar, y'all supported it. Thank you. Helping push it. And then, but this is a 2018 promo group, and then it was, and a lot of people started branching out and doing different promo groups. And then this other promo group, arose, and it was formed by Kirsty Myvet and Aya Khalil. So both picture book authors. Kirsty has a middle grade coming out soon as well. But they came together to sort of form a promo group that was going to focus on people of color. So it was going to promote the books, the work, picture books was what we started out with, of people of color. And also be a support group. And I think at first it was sort of like 2020, it was a 2020 group. And then we thought about it and we're like, no, we kind of need this to keep, going, and I'm noticing a lot of promo groups are doing that now. It's sort of,
I have to, instead of just the 1 year.
Yeah. Early on, I think we all thought, oh, the debut year, this is the year. But then we realized, like, who else is like after, that, like, who's promoting your books, if you have great friends in the industry, that's good. And they do help, but it's nice to have kind of that built-in support.
Yeah. That ongoing
group, right? That ongoing group that's just supporting your work. And it's just, it's a nice, so now, and I think it was 2020 debuts. Diverse debuts. I think that's what we were called in the beginning, 2020 diverse debuts. And then we when we said, oh no, we want to go beyond that, and we want to continue to support each other's careers, we had like a whole process of going through names and vetting names, and we ended up with Kidlit in Color. Again, it's from there, it's just continued to blossom, and our members are, both people who, we have people who haven't published yet and are waiting for their books to come out.
Yep.
And we have people who have, like, several books now, and and we're just kind of all supporting and amplifying each other's work. But the thing that I love about it is it's not just about that piece. And I think that that's something that a lot of people don't get. It's like, for creatives, yes, we need to market our work, but this is like heart work, right? It comes from our hearts and stuff. And so we're sensitive and emotional about it. And we need like a space to not only just, like, it can't just be just think about like just pushing the book and promoting the book, but like also supporting and like, how do we feel about the process of putting out a book?
The person and the person behind the book too, right?
Right.
So how do you communicate in Kidlit with Color? Is it a Facebook group, or what is your group's main form of communication?
I do think the Facebook group is a main thing. We do meet on Zoom. We used to meet monthly, then it went to bi-monthly, and I think we've kind of been on a little bit of a break, but we'll probably resume soon. But yeah, we have Zoom meetings. We have a Facebook group where we talk, and we have, an Instagram, like, messaging group, a Twitter messaging group. So we're communicating in many different ways.
Wonderful. And would you say that there is a leader of the group? Because I've got several authors who they are having a hard time finding groups. And I said, just start one, start a group.
I mean, it definitely, I think the inaugural group kind of takes the lead, right? And that is kind of what has been. Kirsty and Aya definitely always kind of have that role because they, and they give us so much. They support everybody in so many ways, but they are sort of the backbone, have always been there and pulling through and holding us together. Tamika Fryer Brown and Valerie Bowling, as well as myself, we're very much part of that sort of central group, that sort of founding group. So we also like very much weigh in on a lot of the decisions and things like that.
Wonderful. That's great. So you have a book coming out May of 2023, and you're continuing to write? Is this what's going on in the background? You're continuing to write?
Well, so this one actually comes out next week. Hold Them Close.
Hold on. Tell us about Hold Them Close.
So Hold Them Close, and it's Hold Them Close, a love letter to Black children. And this was actually a book that I wrote in response to, brutalization of Black bodies. I wanted to find a way to sort of support Black children and affirm them. And so I wrote this book. It actually started back in 2019, writing it as sort of like a hand to hold on to, but also like, sort of there's joy in it, but there's also, helping them to walk through, some of the pain of the past and the present.
Is it a picture book?
It is.
It is.
It is. It is. And I can kind of, I know this is a podcast, so it's maybe not going to show up there. But
we will share it on YouTube. Yeah. So if you want to share,
I think
it would be a great conversation starter too, for parents who are reading it to their children to allow them a space to talk about what's happening in their feelings too. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So this was the wonderful thing about this book, was that I actually got to work with a fine artist, a renowned fine artist, Patrick Dower, and also an even more like Jamel Shabazz is also very iconic. He's the photographer that gave his photography to the work. So the fine artist, he kind of collaged around Jamel's photography, and it's just a really cool. So it's a poem to children, but you can see you can see the way that they did these scenes.
I have the chills. This is gorgeous.
Yeah, and it's just like stunning. And it's just, I look at it and I get emotional at the beauty that like they created around like my words, with past and present images. It's just, and there's some images that are really startling and painful to take in. But there's also like a lot of just beauty and triumph in it. So,
we will link to this. This is coming out in October?
Yes, October 4th. So next Tuesday it will be out.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
That is wonderful. And you know what? This we need books like that, and we need people like you to be writing these books. And I interviewed an author just before you from Southeast Asia, and just being able to have these authentic books for children to see themselves in, and to really, I think also for the parents to be able to bridge a conversation instead of directly saying, how did you feel about that? Having a book that will kind of pull that out of them. I love the work that you're doing, and I appreciate you being here today. And I support you, and we will be sharing for you and cheering from you over here at Cardinal Rule Press, because our work is not just the books that we publish. Our work is also lifting others up in the community. So I appreciate that. So for those of you listening, we look forward to the next interview. Every Tuesday, we release interviews. And until then, think outside the box, and don't be afraid to use community, like Jamilah had talked about, to really help support your mission. Thank you, Jamilah.
Thank you.
If this episode resonated with you, let's take it a step further. Head over to cardinalrulepress.com and check out our blog. It is filled with resources for anyone who loves books, whether you are a publisher, a librarian, a bookseller, or an author. We help you to figure out ways to get visibility around those books. Thanks for listening to All the Right Marketing with Maria Dismondy. If there is a topic you would like us to explore and cover, please email podcast@cardinalrulepress.com. Head over to our website, cardinalrulepress.com, to sign up for our monthly newsletter, where you can learn more tips on getting books visible into the market. Last but not least, follow us on Instagram for a daily dose of all things books. If you enjoyed this episode, rate and review or share with a friend or colleague. Thanks so much.